Hello, Clancy.
Hello, Internet. The odds are ever in your favor as the Blonde Clicky has yet another amazing theory for you all. The 21 Pilots narrative has taken a very interesting turn recently, and it looks very similar to that of a certain Hunger Games character. Today, I'm going to be looking at how Clancy, the character, is quite similar to a character in the Hunger Games. Now, disclaimer, I will spoil the Hunger Games, but the series has been out for over 10 years, so, I mean, proceed with caution if you may. And then, of course, I'll be spoiling the Clancy World Tour, but I will also be talking about death a lot, and if that is something you're not comfortable with, I understand. I'll see you next time. But if you would like to stick around, then I will get into the theory now. 21 Pilots are now in their European leg of the Clancy World Tour, and with that comes a new fan premiere exhibit. In their North American leg of the Clancy World Tour, there were certain letters hidden in the FPE, in the Bandito Lounge, that described citizens' experiences, citizens of Dima, that is. Now, in the European leg, there are still letters, but this time they are from the Banditos. One of the main differences is letters sent by citizens are typed up, but the free-written, handwritten letters are from the Banditos. Now, there was one letter in particular that really helps build this theory. It's the letter to and from Magnus.
Balder, I'm happy to hear the movement has progressed, but I'm worried about your desire for Clancy to be more powerful than Nico. Is this what you wanted? Is this what any of us wanted? Nico's power is the element that has given Dima and Vialism such an iron fist. More power, even if it's Clancy's power, will corrupt the movement we fought so hard to bring to Dima. We are all one people, and people striving for hope and victory, not more tyranny. Clancy must know that. Fraught.
The letter from Magnus seems to set Clancy in a really bad light. As a leader who once had good intentions has now lost the meaning of the fight. Who does that sound like from the Hunger Games? That's right, President Coin. President Coin is quite the strange character. She suddenly shows up as the president of District 13, saving Katniss Everdeen from the horrors of the Capitol. For context, the Capitol is a tyrannical government that broke the United States up into 13 districts. However, District 13 is the first district to be completely obliterated by the Capitol for rebelling. However, they did rebuild themselves into a military-style district. As president of District 13, Coin rules with a my way or the highway mentality. She's very manipulative and tries to weave the narrative that she wants. She does this by trying to kill Katniss Everdeen, the main character, multiple times. She tries to break her mentally, physically, and emotionally, and it shows throughout the story. She claims that she wants to unite all of the districts together to take down the evil capital, but in reality, she only wants to rule and to have power. Being president of the military district wasn't enough for her. She wanted to be president of the entire nation of Panem. After the capital is defeated by Coin's own doing, the rebellion wins the war. Coin then takes the honor of declaring herself interim president of Panem. When asked how long she will rule, she simply answers,
"We have no way of knowing for certain. But it's clear that people are far too emotional right now to make a rational decision. We'll plan an election when the time is right."
Obviously, this is very sketchy because it seems that the exact same thing the rebellion was fighting against was what she's becoming. So Katniss Everdeen, the face of the rebellion, takes matters into her own hands and ends the life of President Coin. The FPE letter seems to imply that Clancy will become a tyrannical leader once he defeats the bishops. The letter sent to Magnus even expresses that Clancy will become more powerful than Nico. Once the bishops are defeated, he will take the role of a bishop. So the Banditos, dare I say the rebels, are worried that the spearhead of the rebellion will turn on them when the enemy is defeated. Sound familiar? He is taking on the role of President Coin. When the smallest taste of power is given to them, they have to have more. This isn't about noble leadership. It's about getting what they want. This all goes back to the completed message in the North America leg of the Clancy World Tour. We must destroy them or we will become them. And if we become them, we must do better. Clancy has to do better to not suffer the same fate as President Coin. What I just said seems to imply that Clancy will become a bishop. There's enough evidence to prove this: the cut on his nose, the black paint, the ability to seize, and even the name itself. Clancy means son of the Red Warrior in Irish. Narratively, this would make sense, but the story is more than a story. It's a metaphor for mental health. Clancy becoming a bishop, metaphorically, would imply that someone can face their own fears, their own anxieties, their own depression, and their own doubts, acknowledge them, and accept them as a part of themselves. They do not rule over you anymore, but you can accept them as a part of you. That's the beauty of this entire story. You can interpret it in so many different ways, but ultimately, the story ends, the cycle ends, when you take back control of your own mental health. You're not going to believe this, but I've never read the Hunger Games books. Listen, I love reading. I like my select books, but I don't really have time to read, and that's not my favorite pastime, to be frank with you guys. I've watched the movies. Yes, I've watched the movies, and my brother read the books, and he said they're pretty accurate, so I'll just take his word for it. 80% of the time, I'm busy with school or with work or with just life, and the other 20% of the time is just me trying to regain my sanity. But that aside, I think the movies did a good job with the characters. So yeah, this was just a theory that's been on my mind for a while, and thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.